It was like I was asleep and he woke me up. And I still think that we go looking for needs elsewhere when they're not met at home.
So what's the driving force behind infidelity? I mean, we all know that it's so painful for the person that's cheated on, and yet there's so much temptation to still do it. So what's behind this?
People want to be alive. They feel burdened in a mundane level of responsibility that they are. They stop playing. They don't see themselves anymore as who they are. They don't see themselves in the eye of the other as who they were. You know, like in the beginning of the relationship, there's this goo-goo eye that you're always up there for me. And in the midst of it, we kind of just lose that, and the person kind of comes down. And then when they see themselves in your eyes, it's like, you know, I don't like myself as who I am here. And there's always somebody else out there that it's fresh, and they look at you in the same place again, and then it makes you feel alive. It makes you like yourself in a way. And then you kind of gravitate toward that. And sometimes it's that, sometimes it's boring and I want to play. And we've lost the play in our life, and it's just become about major financial responsibilities and what to-dos. And I don't find you and you don't find me anymore. And it's just what we're doing.
Well, I studied adultery. I've looked at it in 40 cultures. I've looked at it in the brain and everything. And there's all kinds of reasons, just like you say. You know, you want to get caught and patch up the marriage. You want to get caught and get out of the marriage. You want to supplement the marriage. You get bored when your partner's out of town. You want to solve a sex problem. You want more sex. You want to walk on the wild side. I mean, there's just so many different reasons for adultery. But the one thing that interested me most was there was a wonderful study that said that 56% of men and 34% of women are actually in extremely happy marriages when they are adulterous.
Right.
And of course, that calls in the anthropological, why are people going to do this when they actually are in a happy, satisfactory, don't want to rock the boat relationship? And so when you go back through human evolution, you know, I think we have a tremendous drive to pair up and rear our children as a team. About 1 million years ago, if you had that pair bond, you had 2 babies with that person, and you occasionally slipped over the hill and had sex with somebody else, and you had an extra child with that person, you're going to have more DNA that you've passed on to the next generation. And if it's a woman a woman can't have a new child every time, but she might get extra support from the person, an insurance policy if a partner dies, and this person might step in and help. So there are, unfortunately, Darwinian reasons for what I call a dual human reproductive strategy, a tremendous drive to pair up, and also sort of this look at what Byron would have called fresh features. And I think that we all in our lives are having to decide, you know, what's the payoffs of this? I mean, what if I do get caught? You know, how much am I going to hurt my partner? And I think some people are much more drawn to adultery than others. And we know some of the brain biology of that and some of the brain architecture. So some people are more susceptible to it. But, you know, we are not puppets on a string of DNA. We can say no to adultery. But I think that, you know, everywhere you look in the world, you find adultery, even in cultures where you can have your head chopped off for it. So there's got to be some sort of impulse to do this. And I think the more you're aware of that impulse, the more you can move around it, do new things with your partner, you know, just not put yourself in that position, etc.
What I tend to see a lot happening, the most common reason that I hear is that at some point there was some emotional disconnection, and the one partner started feeling that my partner does not see me the way that my partner used to see me before. I'm criticized, I'm not good enough. That person tends to withdraw now emotionally, so that person kind of disconnect and does not know how to come close, because when they come close, they're always criticized.
What I find is that people aren't necessarily looking to have an affair.
Right.
They may even say they're in a happy marriage, or they may feel like they're not looking for somebody else, but they find themselves attracted. And one person once said it in my office. It was like I was asleep and he woke me up. And I thought that was such a good way of putting it, because I still think that we go looking for needs elsewhere when they're not met at home. I mean, I really do think that we have many more needs than we might acknowledge. Maybe it's needs for novelty. Maybe it's needs to see yourself like you used to be. I love the way you said that. See yourself through somebody else's eyes. But I think sometimes we're not aware that we're asleep. We're not aware that our needs aren't being met, and that's when we are vulnerable.
So it sounds like infidelity is prolific in most cultures and has been for most of time. And there's not a lot that you can really do to prevent it other than taking on the responsibility of being interesting, sexy, and attractive to your mate, right? And doing the work in your own relationship to prevent it. And if you're thinking about being unfaithful, like this panel would tell you, give yourself a moment of pause and think again.